Hello everyone and welcome to EyeSee's webinar. This time we will talk about advancing consumer healthcare packaging with FMCG know-how. My name is Sanya and today I will have the opportunity to chat with two very knowledgeable professionals. Joris De Bruyne, partner at EyeSee, will share thoughts on this topic from a business perspective. Hi Joris.
Hey Sanya, very happy to be here and very excited to talk about this topic today together.
Thanks. And we will also talk to Bratislav Stefanovic, who has a background in pharmacy and 8 years of experience in healthcare market research, previously working with Ipsos and GfK, and now at EyeSee, where he works with FMCG and consumer healthcare clients. Hello, Bratislav.
Hi, Sanya. Thanks for having me.
So in the converging area where pharma meets FMCG lies an exciting field brimming with innovation, staggering growth, and new sectors that blur the lines between these industries. Although regulations and limitations rule the manufacturing of many such products, it is worth asking, is packaging in consumer healthcare so different from FMCG, or could we draw parallels between some rules and trends? Joris, could you tell us more about this field at the convergence of two industries? How did it come to grow and develop so fast? And how would you judge the evolution that took place in the last couple of years?
Sure, Sanya. With the rise of the wellness economy, informed tech-savvy patients, and despite interest in well-being, and of course, people taking health into their own hands due to the COVID-19 crisis, the consumer healthcare industry is becoming more competitive than ever. And that is obviously eyed by both pharmaceutical and FMCG companies. Like GSK CEO Brian McNamara recently stated in an interview with consulting firm McKinsey, as with many other retail businesses, we have seen a significant increase in OTC's online purchases as a result of COVID-19. And he continues that it will stick. He thinks that it will not go back to pre-COVID-19 levels. Obviously, consumers are getting used to OTC being part of their overall e-shopping basket. Additionally, in the recent years, there was a high level of market activity in the industry we saw at EyeSee. So there was a lot of M&A that fortify the significance of FMCG healthcare bonds, such as, for example, P&G taking over Merck, and the German Merck it is obviously, Reckitt Benckiser taking over Mead Johnson Nutrition, and GSK acquiring the consumer health divisions of both Pfizer and Novartis.
Thanks, Joris. And how similar are these industries? And what are their main differences? How do they fit together?
Well, although stemming from different complex backgrounds, they both bring top-notch expertise to the table. Obviously, FMCG is king when it comes to marketing, to branding. It's focusing on local specificities. Building trust is really important. And obviously, they can do that truly globally with iconic brands. And then there is that innovation that is being delivered onto consumer insights. On the other hand, pharma brings its scientific approach to innovation. The pharma industry is very competent in the adherence to the industry regulations and obviously is dedicated to develop products concerned with health and well-being. This dichotomy may sound like a wide gap, but still, in reality, the end products and their packaging are not so different. They submit to the same rules of consumer behavior and follow the same societal trends in both industries.
And what are some of the topics and questions where consumer healthcare can take cues from FMCG?
We will be talking about that a lot today in our concrete examples, but the key thing, of course, is how to ensure that pack redesigns are well accepted and bought off the shelf so that they deliver that standout on shelf. How to quickly get a feedback on NPD, how to rearrange or arrange the category planograms to maximize sales and obviously, if possible, to grow the category. That's what the retailer wants. How to communicate with successful point of sales communication to get some promotional messaging across. So there are many topics to actually cover. The most common topics and trends in the FMCG industry are shared actually by consumer healthcare as well, maybe at slightly a different level of maturity.
Yes, it really sounds like there is much more they have in common than one may think. Thanks, Joris. We'll get back to you a bit later. Bratislav, you have a huge experience in this sector. Tell us more about some of the trends in FMCG that have a direct counterpart in consumer healthcare.
FMCG industry has learned long ago that the pack is as important as what's inside the pack, as it's a crucial marketing and communication tool for the business. For quite a while, FMCG companies have been applying a consumer-centric approach when it comes to packaging, and they've learned a lot through strenuous research about understanding their target consumers. With the rise of healthcare consumerism that Joris discussed, a set of unique challenges for pharma companies occurred. So, keeping up with the latest packaging trends can indeed help be relevant on the market. Today, FMCG brands are created to tell a story. They have simple designs, bold colors, large fonts, healthy choices, naturalness, natural ingredients is what the trends are. That is how well products communicate naturalness or natural materials. And a lot of focus is on sustainability, green solutions, and eco-friendliness lately. In a fast-paced world, effective communication is a must. Consumers are immediately ready to purchase a product with clear information about what's inside, or in case of consumer health, what's the product's intended usage purpose. Hence, the trend of openness on the part of FMCG companies. More and more often on packages, you can see a listing of all the ingredients, and I would say this is the process of debunking ingredients. With this comes transparent packaging, since it also communicates openness and honesty. And by using transparent packaging, the product itself becomes part of the design, and possibilities there are unlimited. Accelerated life also brings up the necessity for products intended for the use on the go. What we also observe as a trend is that the emotional engagement of the pack is on the rise. It's not only about the product. Consumers want to be part of the story. Indeed, consumers' choices and decisions on selecting a brand are often influenced by emotions and sometimes even more than information. Similarly, consumer health trends are and should be in line with this. But certainly, this industry has its own traits. The focus here is, let's say, fulfillment of need states, helping consumers cope with negative need state related emotions, or intuitive symptom infographics, creating personal experience, but as previously also said, emotional engagement, product naturalness. What we see is that FMCG industry sometimes also takes best practices from consumer health in order to achieve scientific touch for their products.
Now let's talk some more about emotional engagement and different need states of our consumers. How can brands use these and leverage them to make a connection?
Well, I think the key thing is to engage emotionally and to address needs clearly. For instance, by aligning packaging with the emotional and physical states of the consumers, brands develop a connection between the packaging and an acute condition. In the case of cold medicines, such as we can see Theraflu, we see various scenarios and desired effects represented by color. For instance, calming, soothing moments under the blanket with a warm mug of tea are evoked for the nighttime version, with its FMCG evocative co-branding with Lipton tea, and coffee pot style medicine for the boosting, energizing morning versions that brings about a fulfillment of need states. In the case of ZQuil, even a touch of vanity is present. For instance, this beauty sleep with a full focus on the naturalness, for instance, grapes or daisies. In the realm of long-term health issues, colors and design can offer a feeling of consolation and destigmatize some unpleasant, cumbersome, or chronic health conditions. Non-aggressive, gentle hues and shapes are perceived differently on a subconscious level and can help consumers feel better when using the product. Think about the Concord Cores, heart-shaped pills, or Claritin's evolution from an impersonal drug to, let's say, presenting a vision of an allergy-free future with clear skies and open meadows, and developing strong emotional connections along the way.
And when it comes to trends that surpass the field that brought them forth and popularized them, like environmental consciousness, that's one that permeated almost all facets of modern life. How does that play out in this industry?
Well, thanks, Anya. As I mentioned earlier, environmental consciousness is indeed on the rise. It's important to embrace the rise of environmental impact. The average consumer is more informed about the eco-impact of packaging on the planet and climate, and is looking for more sustainable solutions. These packs have a difficult task. First, being sustainable and what is more, looking sustainable, for instance, sending the right message across to the shopper. For instance, Colgate's Smile for Good packaging managed to do just that. It is designed in a recyclable tube and carton, and above all, it stands out visibly in a busy store environment among a multitude of other pack solutions. It even transparently demonstrates the ingredient list by debunking and demystifying all the complex words that sound strange to an average consumer. For instance, sodium lauryl glucoside, a soaping or foaming agent, highly disliked lately, is demystified right on the frontal pack panel. So the same trend is seen across the FMCG industry. Companies rely on behavioral research solutions to gauge how the redesigned, more eco-conscious packaging designs would compare to the old ones, and how it would impact on shelf sales. So does it look more expensive? Does it encourage switching behavior? So to keep up with the rising bar of sustainability, both leading and challenger brands should start testing their sustainable pack through in context research.
So we've talked so much about design, and in a way, good design really is a language that traverses barriers and enables quick and targeted communication. And since consumer health carries a certain set of boundaries and rules regarding privacy when talking about symptoms, especially unpleasant ones, these packaging solutions require a different approach than, say, writing out the flavor on a bottle of sparkling water or chips. So how do companies overcome this challenge?
In consumer health, symptoms and indications are pack elements of utmost importance for consumers. The way these are represented makes a huge difference between a nice and neat, decluttered design or a heavily loaded, crammed appearance. One of the best practices lately is the utilization of iconographic representation of symptoms. Not only that icons effectively and intuitively deliver the message, and what is more, match accurately with consumers' need states, if executed properly and are appealing to consumers, they can help better navigation across the product varieties on the shelf. For those in a hurry, for instance, this can be crucial. And using visually stylized symptoms may help destigmatize emotionally challenging need states, as it is the case with infections, for instance, antifungal products, and so on. And please take a look at this cold and flu medication, where healing properties of medicated vapors of fresh peppermint fill up the room and directly decongest your sinuses. Not only that this is used for the clear communication of efficacy, but also delivers on the naturalness of the products. Again, possibilities are limitless.
Thanks, Bratislav. When it comes to blurring the lines between industries, there's another area that is particularly interesting, and that is cosmetics. Here, instead of trying to appeal to our emotions and making healthcare products look more inviting and natural, we see cosmetic brands that want to look more scientific, cold, and laboratory-like. How do you explain this trend?
Well, as I just explained, the focus should be on a simple, stripped-down scientific packaging. A growing trend that is reflected in FMCG and consumer health is a search for products disguised in medical-looking designs or communicating that they are grounded in science, and hence safe and better for consumers. Budding new categories in FMCG, functional nutrition, nutraceuticals, and better for you foods, see both pharma and FMCG companies foray into science-founded foods and beverages. We see a similar passion for the approach in the beauty and cosmetics sector and their communities. In a reverse process to the humanizing of medication, for instance in the case of Claritin, here we see an FMCG product looking very pharmaceutical, but it's actually cosmetics like its skin and the ordinary, compared to the regular easygoing, fun and colorful cosmetic packagings. Their pack solutions evoke a clean, minimalist look perceived as expertly developed functional medicine, which is something that brings to reassuring consumers that they will get the desired results. These attributes are best captured by behavioral methods without requiring consumers to explain precisely what is it about the white package and linear drawings that invokes trust.
So, with the pandemic and its seismic effect on our lives, we have moved many experiences away from their usual locations and into the home. Since packaging continues to live with us at home even after we decide to buy it, it underscores the importance of creating a delightful experience even after the first moment of truth. Many brands are exploring this territory, looking beyond the packaging only. Can you tell us a bit more about this tendency?
Well, my suggestion is create more than just packaging. So that should be experiences, rituals, or multiple uses. Aside from essential information that must find a place on the packaging, for instance, number of dosage units, lists of the active components, ingredients, and the benefits, there is so much more packaging can become. Lately, we've seen unique innovations that turn functional packaging into a sensory experience to be enjoyed. For instance, two-component beauty products, people-centric beverage designs that fit into the lifestyle of the consumer, or entire rituals devised to make them dedicate time for themselves and their well-being. A great pack designs can enable consumers to have a delightful experience both in the first moment of truth and at home.
And last question for you. Another significant common interest for FMCG and consumer healthcare is how to communicate product naturalness effectively. Can you tell us more about what the trend is here?
Well, yeah, it's important to communicate product naturalness. Most innovative pharma companies realize that a natural, juicy, and realistic footage of fruits, for example, is very appealing to consumers, just like it is in the beverage category. Here's, for instance, Tums, which is a quick-acting antacid, has come very close to FMCG with an almost confectionery, fun design showcasing fruity images. In contrast, we have Nexium, which still has a very generic OTC look to it. It is understandable why this is the perfect example of an FMCG rule applied to a drug product to great success.
Thanks so much, Bratislav. Let's go back to Joris for a second. We've covered so many great examples today. But what would you say are the most important things to keep in mind when testing consumer healthcare products? And which principles of FMCG can consumer healthcare brands start using right now?
The consumer healthcare industry is one of the fastest growing and most exciting, albeit an incredibly complex research field. Although it has its specificities, the lines between these industries are getting more and more blurry by the consumerization of healthcare. People are getting more educated about their health choices, embracing technology, and exploring ways that they can make the right health decisions for themselves. It is pretty safe to say that healthcare and FMCG products are perceived in an increasingly similar way. I think finally, end users are all humans, and they're pretty much driven by strong subconscious biases. Obviously, we focus on that at EyeSee. So understanding them makes a difference on the shelf and obviously between poor and outstanding sales. Assessing a new or a redesigned package needs to be done in a proper, realistic context. That means a busy supermarket or drugstore shelf. Any idea that leaves the R&D lab must pass both explicit and implicit tests, and especially a test of being bought in a competitive environment. I think that established pharmaceutical companies have much to gain by adopting FMCG's attitude towards MRX. That means innovating and changing, guided by insights and a deep understanding of consumer behavior. Their reliance on the research for quick, iterative design processes, fast and agile virtual shopping tests, and making sure they think about their packaging in an omni-channel context. That is an excellent playbook that consumer healthcare can take cues from.
Thank you very much. This was great. And I think there's so many similarities, and that with the assistance of research, we're bound to see many more great examples of innovation in this field. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. If you have any questions, reach out to us and we will get back to you straight away. Stay safe, everyone, and also tune in for our next webinar session on October 29th, where we will tackle Instagram advertising, how crisis messaging affects brand equity, and we will learn how different brands are perceived when taking a stance on social issues. Thank you, and until next time.